Episode 84, Give Me the Hot Sauce, rolls on. It is now our pleasure and privilege to welcome in the head coach and general manager of the WNBA champion Chicago Sky. James Wade joins us on Give Me the Hot Sauce. And, Coach, I'm sure you never get tired of being introduced as head coach of the WNBA champions. Take us back through that process last year during the playoff run. You guys were a 500 team during the regular season. You caught fire at the perfect time.
No, it never gets old. Thank you for having me. That was a special moment because that's something that never been done before. And we've had teams in the history of our league that go on runs, finish with a record above 500, and they get there, but they never won it. And for us to finish the job, it's a big difference in just make it to the finals and winning it, and to actually be the last team standing. It was just about our buy-in and our trust in one another, not just in the system, but in each other. And you started to see that throughout the playoffs after we won one game and then after we won the second game. And so it just started to build our momentum and build our confidence in each other. It was a rough season because we started off behind the eight ball with like three of our main players injured. Mm-hmm. And so we had went on a stretch where we lost like 7 in a row. And once everybody got healthy, we went on another run where we won 7 in a row. So really nobody knew who we were. And then we kind of had our, peaks and valleys throughout the season. And like we didn't reach 500 to like the last game of the season because we had lost 3 out of 4 or something like that. And we just, decided amongst each other, and we changed some things schematically that I felt that would make us a little bit more of the aggressive team. And, it's like, I don't know, it's like a person in a fight that, that doesn't have strength left. They have one punch left, and we just decide to throw a big one, and that's what we did. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the expectations. Now, you won the championship. There was buzz when you guys, were out here celebrating, and everybody was so excited. The playoff run, the fans came out and supported. Coming into this season now, and the expectations now are up. You're not surprising anybody. Everybody knows who the Chicago Sky is now because you're the world champions. Tell me what the expectations were like, and what was that first training camp like being champion?
So it was pretty. I thought it was pretty cool. We went through a funny off season because we celebrated, and then 2 months later we had free agency, and we had 7 free agents. And so basically, it was about trying to secure our core. And so we had a lot of work that we had to do in December, January, and February months where we were trying to put our team together. And it was evident because of the WNBA's hard cap, we couldn't keep everybody.
Yeah.
And so, and after that, good feeling wears off. It's like, yeah, we won. Now, let's run this back. And we have a hard cap. And so you have to sacrifice, money and, what players worth on the open market and playing with the right team. And it's just tough, and so that was what we had to navigate and bring in the team that we brought together. And we feel like we put our team in a good place where we brought back all 5 of our starters. 3 of them were free agents. And so they wanted to, run it back. And we were able to, bring in another finals MVP from Washington, D.C. That won finals MVP in 2019. We got a couple of free agents via trade, a free agent from overseas, and we felt like we had a team that could potentially compete for a championship. And so it's a little different because you have 5 starters and 7 total players come back that were on the championship team. Then you have new players that are hungry, and so you're just trying to mesh that all in. And so once you have players coming back from overseas, training camp is a little delayed because some of your main players are coming back later. So you're just trying to get everything in. So the thing we decided to do early was, okay, the thing we can do is build our defensive identity. And so that's what we tried to do early. But we struggled offensively early because a lot of our players weren't in, and When they were coming in, we had to keep on scripting stuff to kind of get the offense flowing. But we hung our hat early on defense. And now the last, I think, couple of weeks since our team has been pretty much here and intact, we focused a lot offensively and what we're trying to accomplish offensively. So it's a process, man, and that's the WNBA, especially when you got overseas and all that. It's not just training camp that you have for 4 to 6 weeks where you can kind of build your team. You're adding pieces on as you go because players they're filling in later. And that's the challenging part of WNBA, but hopefully one day we won't have that problem and players will just be playing here in market.
Yeah, Stacey, he wears both hats, so when the player wants to complain to the general manager, they got nowhere to go because he's the coach and the general manager. He's the final authority on everything.
And that's a great thing to have, because I was like that in the CBA. And the CBA and the WNBA is very similar because you have a salary cap. I've had guys leave at halftime, coach. So they said, "Hey, I'm going to Germany." I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold up, man. What are you talking about, man? You can't go to Germany, coach. They paying me more money, And and people laugh. We laugh about that, but it was dead serious, because you have to compete with the overseas market because these players make so much more money overseas. And in the CBA, guys are trying to get to the NBA. They're missing something in particular in the game to get to the NBA. And the one thing I've always said about the WNBA, because the NBA backs them, these girls shouldn't have to go overseas and play. I mean, now, especially when you look at Brittany Griner and her situation and how dangerous it is. I mean, she's been over there way too long. And these girls put themselves in danger going over, overseas and playing in Europe.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough. I actually coached her for 3 years there in Russia, man. And it's one day it's going to come to a time where they're not going to have to go. And we feel like right now with the viewership, even from our final series, how it exploded. And this year we've already had a game this year where we've beaten records as far as how much audience has watched us on ABC, and that's been more than in years past. And so we feel that each year that we've added 4 more games to the market schedule, and we think that's only going to go even further. And they're going to add 2 teams in the next couple of years. So this thing is going to be a major league where players, they're probably going to stay over here and be in market. And I think we're going to start seeing players get the recognition that they deserve. And I just assume that with that recognition, then you'll see everything else that follows. So I think we're just in the beginning of something special. So I'm just excited to be a part of it, for real.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about coaching Candace Parker. She played the bulk of her career with the LA Sparks, of course, won a championship, was league most valuable player. And I covered her when she played high school basketball at Naperville Central, and she was such a dominant high school player. It was unbelievable. But the question I had is, she's making more money working for TNT than she is playing for the WNBA. She comes into training camp, and a lot of people, I think, looked at it as, all right, she's just winding down her career. She's going to come home for a year and play in front of her family and friends and not be that serious about it. But she was one of those players you talked about that was injured early in the year. What's the dynamic for you trying to make sure you get the best of Candace Parker at this point in her career?
I mean, it's like that, man. You have somebody that has basically carried the league for so long. Just imagine LeBron James, if he's doing something extracurricular, he's still going to bring everything he can to the basketball court. It's a level of professionalism and talent and skill that can't really be matched. So it's just endless energy, man. She's really good at what she does on TV. Yeah. I like tuning in and watching her, but coaching her is on another level, and that's something that I've appreciated. And you hate preparing against her when I was coaching against her, but you love coaching her because she's going to bring it at every turn. And she's someone that has invested in keeping her body right. She has the right people around her, making sure she's ready to play. And so some things that you have to, you have to, I guess, understand that this is actually bigger than what we're doing, because she's an icon on the women's level, and whatever she does actually brings light to us. We're like first or second, and They had something today, like we're first or second in, I guess, viewership or streams or clicks or followers in the last like 7 days of WNBA teams. 4 years ago, before I got here, that wasn't the case when it came to Chicago Sky. Now we're one of the major ball clubs that's, in a major market. So no, it's something that comes with the territory when you have her. So you got to take all that good stuff that she brings and just try to help your team grow in the best way possible.
Well, I tell you what, watching a women's basketball game is awesome. When you're having kids growing up and wanting to learn how to play basketball the right way, the fundamentals, the passing, the cutting, it's a great tool to teach young kids how to play. I used to take my kids all the time to the Sky games when they first got here. One of the things I was watching last night, Coach, the 30 for 30, and they were talking about and that was a great, I don't know if you saw it, but that was.
No, I have it. TVR,
man,
so I have it on my TV right now.
I'm telling you, that was awesome. And just watching with those, just like you were just talking about, Candace shining light and these superstar players coming along, shining light on the women's game, getting more people involved and getting people. Those girls were the first ones that really got women's basketball. They're the reasons why there's a WNBA. And seeing some of the things that those girls went through and the good, the bad, the ugly, it was an amazing story. And so I concur with you when you say, how a girl like Candace Parker, Sylvia Fowles, some of these superstar women's basketball players are out in the forefront to take this game to the next level. So this group may not benefit from it, but that next couple of groups that come in will benefit. It's the same thing in the men's game. I mean, you go back to Bob Cousy and Bill Russell and how those guys travel and things, and you see where the league is now, the money that's being made now. I mean, guys making $20-30 million a year, where back in the day, guys had they played in the NBA and then went and worked a 9-to-5 or a side job. So the game has evolved, and I see the women's game doing the same thing. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way, and it's like you said, it's going to be like you said, it's going to be the guys like, George Mikan and Bob Cousy take it to one place. And they have this period where, you have two competing leagues, and then you have Magic and Larry, and you have the fusion of the ABA and the NBA. And now you got all these big contracts with LeBron. And so it steps to it. And we just have to appreciate it along the way. As much, like Cheryl Swoops and Dawn Staley, appreciating them and what they've done, Lisa Leslie, et cetera. And, Diana Taurasi and Candace Parker, Sue Bird has carried this torch. But the players that are maybe, in the 10th, 11th grade now that we don't know about, and they're going to reap the benefits of it. Like they're going to be millionaires playing in the league that don't have to go overseas. And so, but it's the players now and the players before that have paved the way, and hopefully they'll always be able to pay homage to them, and with stuff like they showed last night, and just so we can have an appreciation, man, and in the NBA you see the appreciation is there too. So I love what it's building. I think it's going to be that way pretty soon.
Hey, Coach, a lot of Sky fans probably don't realize that you were a hell of a player in your own right. You played for 13 years overseas. You played in a couple of different countries. And you make your off-season home in France. That has to be an interesting life for yourself and your family. Tell us about your playing career. What were you like as a player?
I wasn't that good, man. I just put it like this. If I was that good, I wouldn't have to get on a plane to go. No, it was good. I loved the game. I was very passionate for it, and I had an extremely hard work ethic. And before it was even in style, I used to work out with different coaches, or they'll see me running and be like, "What is he doing?" And we didn't have the trainers and the individual trainers that. You had to go search for these guys. You had to get your uncle to rebound for you.
Yep.
Back in the day, it really wasn't like that. And I was like, man, I was born before my time, because this is stuff that I wanted to do. I used to have my little brother in the gym, rebounding. He's 14 years old. I was like, hey, I'm going to come off this screen right here. And every time I get it, just, and now you see guys that's putting guys through workouts, and we didn't really have that. And our coaches used to in the off season go on the recruiting trail. So they didn't do off season workouts really. But I was fortunate enough to go overseas. And back then it was, you would go overseas and it was 2 Americans for every team. It really wasn't like Bosmans or, like European American guys with European passports and stuff like that. And, it's leagues like first, second, third. Yep. So normally you start off low and you just work your way up. And so I was fortunate enough. I played in 6 countries and was trying to find my home. So I played on a couple of good teams, played on a couple of bad teams, but through it all, it was some good lessons, and I got to make some great friends, some teammates that are going to be friends for life. And it was good. I wouldn't trade it for anything because it's something that it helped me find my family, find my wife who was a French basketball player, played in the Olympics and all that, and have my son, and it opened me up to a lot of things. I'm a dude from the South that didn't speak proper English, and now I speak 3 languages. So it just changed. This is something I never would have thought, man. I never would have thought. So it changed my life for the better, man. And as much as it helped me realize all my dreams, it actually grew me up as an individual, where I was a lot more open-minded than I would have been if I would have stayed in Memphis.
Well, James, Stacey speaks French also.
Oh man, don't listen to him, Coach. Don't listen to him. I'm an imposter. I only know dirty words. That's all I know. I only know dirty words.
Hey, dirty words sometimes those are the ones that count, brother.
Those are the ones that count, baby. Hey, so yeah, thank you for that little thing, Whisper. Whisper always trying to,
Parlez-vous? Come on.
Parlez-vous français? Oui. Okay, so give me a taste of what it's like coaching women and men, because I know hoop is hoop. You got players, that's who I look at it. When you're coaching high-level girls like you're coaching in the WNBA, hooping is hooping. But how is it different? There has got to be some difference to it.
Not really. It's a whole bunch of misconceptions that, but it's really the same, really. They want to be told the truth, like you said earlier. You just have to keep it real with them. And you can motivate them, but it has to be truth in that. And they want to know exactly what they need to do. And some players are just, okay, give us instruction and we do it. But the great players, sometimes they want to know why, because they've been in so many different situations that are different, and I'm sure it's the same with the men. I'm sure you can tell a younger player, hey, just do this. But with LeBron, he's been in so many situations. You're going to have to tell him, hey, let's do this. This is what, so it's a little bit of the same. I think just me being a guy and going in and being in the basketball world and understanding what I wanted from a coach. That's how I just try to feed my experiences from that. It's the same, man. Same emotion, same, same buy-in. It's just, we're on a different scale because, these guys, man, some of them are corporations, and, from what I've heard, sometimes it's harder for them to get them to buy in. It's not hard to get our players because it's all about winning, really. It's all about winning.
Yeah, that's big now because it's all about brands. Everybody, in the NBA, it's about your brand. Yeah. And it's kind of taken away from the game of what's important. Yeah. Because is the brand more important than winning? You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think some of the teams that don't have success in the NBA struggle with that.
Think about it. I imagine you're coaching these $100 million CEOs of companies, and they CEOs of their bodies, and you're trying to all get them on the same page. But me as a coach, man, I'm it's probably a detriment to myself, but I just put winning above everything. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. And sometimes it's going to rub people the wrong way. And I think I don't know how coaching guys on the NBA level is. And, I'm good where I'm at. But, the women, man, they really are passionate about the game and about winning the right way. The players that I've coached.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in other teams. I've heard stories, but you hear those everywhere.
Yeah.
But we're fortunate enough, man. We have good people, and they're all about winning. And of course, you see the branding growing because it's even growing on the college level.
Yes.
You see all these NIL deals, and in women's basketball, it's a little different because sometimes you can have NIL deals, and sometimes it's more of a popularity contest, and sometimes a lot of these, I mean, not a lot, but sometimes the players can't play in the league. And so you have these great deals in college, but you get to the WNBA level because we don't have 350 spots or 400 spots. We only have 144 at the most.
Wow.
And yeah, and so because we only have 12 teams and because of the salary cap, that cuts it down. So some teams are carrying 11 like us. So you only have 137 spots. So you have these great players in college that come out and are very popular, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 followers. And they get into the league and it's difficult for them because the players that play in the league, branding is secondary. They are ballers.
Yeah. And
the branding comes after you ball. But when you're in college, the branding comes early, like it comes in high school. And so it looks bad if you got all these followers and they know you for balling and all these highlights, and then you get in the league and can't play.
Mm. Hey, last question I have for you, James. You have an interesting dynamic that a couple of your backcourt stars, Courtney Vandersloot and Allie Quigley, are married. How does that manifest itself in day-to-day practices and sideline huddles when you're in a one-point game? They ever go at each other in practice, or how does that all work?
Man, they're so competitive. And of course, they go at each other, they go at everybody, they go at me. They're so competitive, man. I've had like the fortune of knowing them for a long time. And I coached both of them overseas as well. And so I spent a lot of time with them, and the chemistry that they have on the court playing together, you see it and you're like, man, they great. Like they just feed off of each other. You have a shooter, you have a facilitator, a shooter that can facilitate and a facilitator that can shoot. And they just feed off each other, and we move at their rhythm a lot. And you wouldn't know that they were married, but it would explain why their chemistry is so good, So it's like, oh yeah, they're married, but it makes sense, because, they're throwing no-look dimes to each other. And like, it's just so great. But I promise it's like a second thought. We don't even think about it anymore because they've always been so involved in the team dynamic. And so we have one of the best groups that you could imagine. And they help that. Candace helps that. So it's been pretty cool. They're two of our leaders along with Candace and Copper. We got some others too that have really done the thing. Z, came back and is trying to, find her voice in the team and stuff. And no, it's been great, man. It's been great having a group. And, I guess, when they retire, I'll look for another married couple, maybe.
It sounds like great strategy for a guy who is also not just the coach, but the general manager of the WNBA champion Chicago Sky. James, thank you so much for joining us. Keep the success going. I know you guys are undefeated in the Commissioner's Cup, so you can bring in another trophy coming up. So.
I'm coming, baby. I'm coming out there waving the Chicago Sky Town, baby.
Hey, man. Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
Good luck, Coach.
Great getting to know James Wade, our guest on episode 84. Gimme the Hot Sauce. I want to thank you all for tuning in. A brand new episode coming up again next week. So, Stacey, what do you always tell the folks?
Drive home safely. Chicago, beep, beep.
Give me the hot sauce. What are you doing, Dragic? Did you not get the memo?